There is an open secret among the wealthy wives of Harbor City. The Su family's female CEO, Su Wanru, has a cheap and worn-out bracelet on her wrist. No one is allowed to touch it. It is said that the last person who touched it vanished without a trace the next day. Even I, who had been entangled with her for 10 years, could not touch it either. I saved money to buy her a designer bracelet. I wanted her to take off that wristband and wear mine instead. She accepted the bracelet, but wore it together with the old wristband, until the day her first love returned home. At the gathering, their friends started teasing them. They joked with Song Jingnian, saying, "Did you know? After you went abroad for 5 years, that shoelace of yours, President Su turned into a bracelet and wore on her wrist for 5 years." At that moment, I decided to give up on Su Wanru completely. After the party ended, I dialed an unfamiliar phone number and proposed marriage. My mother had given me that number. Years ago, she had accidentally saved a woman. That woman left this number, saying I could contact her if I ever faced any trouble. Now that my mother had passed away, as her son, I truly had encountered trouble. I needed to marry someone to completely break free from Su Wanru. Fortunately, she was straightforward and got the marriage certificate with me that same day. Then she said she had to go abroad for business and would hold the wedding with me a month later. Coincidentally, I also needed 1 month before my resignation date. The next day, I knocked on the door of Su Wanru's office. "President Su, I want to resign." My low voice broke the quiet atmosphere of the office. Hearing that, Su Wanru's hand flipping through documents paused. She slightly raised her eyes, her tone calm and indifferent. "Reason for resigning? I'm married. I have new plans for the future. It is no longer suitable for me to stay by your side." My tone was utterly sincere, but Su Wanru looked as if she had heard a joke. "Married, since when? And the wedding?" Those 3 questions in a row made the office fall silent for a long moment. I lowered my eyes for a while before meeting her gaze. "My wife had to go abroad unexpectedly. We'll hold the wedding after she comes back." Hearing the word wife, Su Wanru curled her lips. A meaningful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "Wife, who did you marry?" Hearing the ridicule she could not suppress in her voice, the name that was about to leave my lips stopped there. Although when we got the marriage certificate yesterday, the attitude Xia Xiao had shown was gentle and kind, this marriage had happened too hastily after all. I was not sure whether she was willing to make it public, so I chose silence. The prolonged silence made Su Wanru certain that my resignation and marriage today was nothing more than a show after learning Song Jingnian had returned, self-directed and self-performed, just trying to attract her attention. If it were usual, she might still have the patience to deal with it, but unfortunately right now she had no mood for it, nor any time to play along with such a farce. The ringtone suddenly sounded. Su Wanru pressed the answer button. As she listened to the voice from the phone, the cold expression on her face instantly softened. "Jingnian, I'm coming right now." The next second she stood up, grabbed her coat and passed by me. She casually tossed out one sentence, "If you want to resign, fine. Follow the procedure." Before her words even faded, she had already disappeared from sight. That meant she agreed. According to procedure, I only needed 1 month for the handover, then I could leave completely. My tense body finally relaxed. I could hardly believe it had gone so smoothly. I lowered my head and walked back to the assistant's office. Countless memories flashed chaotically through my mind. At 16, I came from the countryside to Jingbai, following my mother, who had worked for decades as a maid for the Su family, and moved into the Su family's old residence. The Su family was kind. They arranged a school for me and allowed me to go to and from school with Miss Su of the family, Su Wanru. It was the age when young hearts begin to stir. Su Wanru was graceful and beautiful. As time went by, I fell hopelessly in love with her, but I knew well the gap between us, so I never dared approach rashly. Until that night, Su Wanru got drunk and entered the wrong room. We spent the night together. The next morning, she faced away from me and pulled up her zipper, then said lightly, "You blush every time you see me. You like me." My secret crush was exposed. I was flustered and uneasy, but she turned around, the corners of her lips lifting slightly. "Last night I entered the wrong room. Tonight, you want to enter the wrong one too." I mistakenly thought it was her way of accepting me. My eyes widened in shock, joy exploding in my heart like fireworks. That was how our relationship continued, and it lasted for 10 years. But she never gave me a title. I always hoped that one day she would confess first and give me a proper place by her side. Until yesterday, Suwonru suddenly sent me a message saying she would take me to a welcome banquet and told me to dress up nicely. After being together so long, although she could hardly sleep without me every night, she had almost never taken me to events like this. So the moment I heard the news, I instinctively thought she was planning to make our relationship public. At that moment, my whole heart was filled with excitement. I rushed there full of joy. The taxi stopped in the parking garage. Just as I was about to unbuckle my seatbelt, voices suddenly came from the sports car beside me. They were familiar voices. It was several of Suwonru's close girlfriends, their tone full of disdain. Sister Wonru, bringing Jiang Sheng to an occasion like this seems inappropriate, doesn't it? If others find out who he is, who knows how much they'll laugh. He's just the son of a maid. Bringing him out really lowers your status. Suwonru's voice was calm. If Song Jingnian can date such a cheap woman, why can't I bring a low-class man to attend the welcome party? I could hear the hidden mockery in her tone. Every single word pierced my heart like a blade. I stood there, my lips trembling uncontrollably. The people in the next car, completely unaware, kept talking. Ha ha, Sister Wonru, if you say that, Jiangsheng would be heartbroken if he heard it. Aren't you afraid he'll leave you? With his status, what better life could he find? If he leaves me, he probably couldn't even survive. That light, casual sentence made the others burst into laughter. That laughter was unbearable. It crushed my fragile self-respect into pieces. I had no mood to attend this so-called welcome banquet. I texted Suwonru, I'm not feeling well today. I can't make it. Then I hurriedly ran out of the garage. When I came back to my senses, I had already returned to the Su family home. I asked one of the servants who had worked there a long time, and soon learned about Suwonru and the past she had with the boy named Song Jingnian. It turned out they were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. They had deep feelings. During their school days, Suwonru never accepted any boy's love letters because she had long liked someone else. But before she could confess, Song Jingnian got himself a girlfriend who was beneath his family's status. The Song family opposed it, but he directly rebelled against them and went abroad with his girlfriend. Yet Suwonru could not forget him. She had remained single all these years, waiting for him to come back. By the end, I had grown numb. All the things that had troubled me for so long, why Suwonru, dazzling like a pearl in the sky, would reveal disappointment and pain when drunk. I found all the answers in the name Song Jingnian. As for why Suwonru kept me in an unclear relationship for 10 years, I understood that too. Just because Song Jingnian chose a poor woman, she wanted to spite him. So she targeted a cheap man like me. By dawn, my tears had dried, and the last trace of fantasy in my heart was extinguished. After giving up completely, I took out a business card. The name on it was Xia Xiao. I tried calling the number. I made a request to the person on the other end. That very afternoon, the two of us went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got married. That day, looking at the marriage certificate in my hand, it all felt like a dream. I had become a married man just like that. But more than anything, I felt relieved. I could finally break free from Suwonru completely. Song Jingnian had been abroad for many years. This sudden return was said to be because he broke up with his longtime girlfriend. Back then, he defied his family for her. But the class gap between them was too great. In the end, they still did not have a good outcome. He returned so suddenly that many things had not been prepared. When Suwonru heard this, she immediately brought me along to help. I did not want to go, but my resignation was still being processed. She was still my boss, so I had no reason to refuse. Fortunately, I had already decided to give up. So no matter what, seeing how much she cared about Song Jingnian would no longer stir any waves in my heart. On the way there, she kept reminding me to be clever and attentive, and to point out anything missing. I silently nodded and ran around handling everything. After buying everything, I followed behind the two of them in exhaustion, listening as they chatted about the past. Wonru, you remember how every time it was my birthday, you would have my favorite cake, air freighted from Europe to celebrate with me. All these years abroad, I haven't received a cake from anyone in a long time. An air-freighted cake. I had received one too. Back then, I was happy for a long time, but I never knew why. Now I know. It turned out it was to celebrate Song Jingnian's birthday. Every time we went out before, you would always accompany me to that snack shop and let me eat my fill. After so many years, I wonder if that shop has closed down. It hasn't closed. I answered silently in my heart. Because 2 months ago, I had accompanied Su Wanru there. Their Black Forest cake was delicious. She ordered 2 slices every time. Thinking about it now, it was probably because Song Jingnian liked it. The 3 of us walked slowly, one after another. Each time the childhood sweethearts talked about an old memory, I could find a similar memory in my own mind. Only today did I realize that all of Su Wanru's care for me had merely been nostalgia for Song Jingnian. I looked at the backs of the 2 walking side by side. My expression calm the whole time, busy with my own work. After spending half a day, the empty room was soon fully furnished. Clothing, food, housing, travel. For leisure and entertainment, all kinds of tools and supplies were prepared. Song Jingnian was very satisfied with my efficiency. He looked over with admiration. Wanru, we've talked so long that I forgot to ask who is this. Just as I was about to speak, Su Wanru cut in directly. The son of my family's maid. That maid worked for us for many years and always kept her son by her side. A few years ago, the maid passed away. He had no other relatives, so he stayed at the old residence. Now he's one of my assistants. A trace of surprise flashed through Song Jingnian's eyes, but he quickly returned to normal. Wanru is truly kind-hearted. Still remembering old ties, Su Wanru stared at him steadily. Her tone seemed to carry another meaning. Yes, I do remember old ties, and I've always remembered an old love. Song Jingnian's expression stiffened slightly. He did not respond to that remark. I took in both of their reactions and quietly lowered my eyes. The person she loved had gone abroad for over 10 years. Yet when they met again, she still could not forget him. Su Wanru truly remembered her old love. As we passed the flower room, I casually straightened a drooping flower branch. Song Jingnian happened to turn his head and immediately noticed my ring. He turned back and asked, Assistant Jiang, I've seen this ring before. It's worth a fortune. Looks like Wanru pays her assistants quite well. My gaze also dropped to the wedding ring shining on my hand. I was slightly dazed. Xiao Xiao had given me this ring before she left. She said that although the wedding was postponed, nothing else should be missing. I knew nothing about the value of jewelry and thought she had just bought it in a hurry to make do. So it was expensive. Su Wanru glanced at it too, her brows unconsciously furrowing, seeing the confusion on my face. Song Jingnian kindly reminded me, the ring is beautiful, but you're wearing it on the wrong finger. The ring finger is only for wedding rings. I shook my head, smiling faintly in reply. No mistake. This is a wedding ring. You're already married. Seeing the surprise on his face, I gave a soft hum. It happened 2 days ago. Su Wanru's expression instantly darkened. She stared at me for a long while, wanting to say something, but in the end held it back. When we finished, the sky had grown dark. Song Jingnian escorted us to the parking garage. During the farewell pleasantries, he praised me again. Wanru, your assistant handles things very efficiently. I just came back, and I'm still unfamiliar with many things. If it's convenient, could you give me his contact information so I can ask him for help sometime? He made the request, and Su Wanru naturally would not refuse. Of course, my contact is the same as his. I'll send it to you later. If you need anything, just tell him directly. On the way home, I drove in silence. Su Wanru subconsciously assumed I was angry about what had happened earlier. Just as she was about to ask, she turned her head, and her gaze was caught by the ring. The impatience she had suppressed rose again. This marriage and wedding ring act, it's fine if you fool me with it, but there's no need to pretend in front of Song Jingnian. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. I still explained, no. This really is a wedding ring. When I said that, I did not even dare look at her. Su Wanru only took it as guilt, and could not be bothered to waste more words. She simply made it clear. In my heart, Song Jingnian is different from everyone else. You'd better put away those little thoughts of yours, and just do your job properly. Don't set your sights on him. Every word carried a heavy warning. My eyes trembled slightly. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. If it had been the old me, Seeing how much she cared about Song Jingyan, perhaps I would have felt jealous. But I was never someone who liked causing trouble. How could I ever harm the person she loved? Not to mention that I was married now. I cared even less about who she liked or disliked. After knowing each other for 10 years, she actually thought of me this way. A trace of helplessness flashed through my heart. I let out an almost inaudible sigh. After adding each other on WeChat, Song Jingyan would call on me from time to time to help with trivial matters. If he lost his passport, I had to handle it. If something went missing at home, I had to contact the police. If he wanted to see a play, he made me get the tickets too. While busy with company work, I also had to deal with Song Jingyan. I was overwhelmed with work. Several times I tactfully suggested to Su Wanru that she hire a professional assistant for Song Jingyan, but she always ignored it. I knew she did not lack money. Making me work for Song Jingyan was merely to make me see clearly how important Song Jingyan was in her heart, and use that to warn me. But there was really no need. I had already seen it clearly, more than clearly enough, so not only would I not cling to her, I had already given up on her, running back and forth for more than a week. I was spinning nonstop, and had almost forgotten about Xia Xiao. So, when I received her call, I froze for a moment. Her tone was as gentle as ever. Are you busy? I called today to ask what you think about holding our wedding at Yanshui Bay. Holding the wedding at Yanshui Bay. I unconsciously repeated it. Before I finished speaking, the door to the assistant's office was suddenly pushed open. Su Wanru walked in, her eyes fixed directly on me. Her gaze was icy. Wedding? What wedding? I was startled, and immediately hung up. Standing up, my wedding. Before entering, Su Wanru had already grown suspicious. But after seeing me hang up, and the flustered look on my face, she thought this was another act I was putting on. She sneered, since you insist you're married. After all, you've been with me for 10 years. Wouldn't it be a bit unreasonable not to send me an invitation? An invitation? It was my first time getting married. I had really forgotten such a small detail. After a moment of silence, I met her gaze. My tone was calm. The invitations aren't ready yet. When they're delivered, I'll prepare one for you. The wedding date is almost here, and the invitations still aren't ready. Hearing what I said, Su Wanru only found it somewhat amusing. She nodded ambiguously, fine. I'll wait. It was finally the weekend. But I still wasn't idle. I packed up many things to throw away. I carried the box outside, and happened to run into Su Wanru returning home. Seeing her unreadable stare, I put down the box and explained, President Su, after getting married, I plan to move out. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. A trace of impatience flashed across Su Wanru's face. Her tone was not very pleasant as she said, you keep talking about marriage every day. Are you afraid I'll forget? Anyway, this is the Su residence. Move or don't move, it's up to you. From her tone, I could tell she was in a bad mood. I did not dare say more, and lowered my head to listen to her instructions. Next week I'm taking leave to vacation in Jiangning with Song Jingyan. Prepare a travel plan first, then carry everything out one by one. Song Jingyan is a clean freak. Replace everything in the hotel with new items, and disinfect properly. Arrange each day's schedule after 3 p.m. He's still adjusting to jet lag. You also need to personally screen the people accompanying us. He doesn't like people who talk too much. From the hotel to the staff, from the weather to his preferences. Su Wanru rambled on for over half an hour, covering every detail. After knowing her for 10 years, it was the first time I had seen her care so much for someone. Looking at the 40-minute recording in my hand, I took a deep breath, and could not help recalling the past. Jiangning's scenery was famed as the best under heaven. I had long heard of its beauty. Before Song Jingyan returned, I had mentioned several times to Su Wanru that I wanted to go, and even made visiting Jiangning my birthday wish. But no matter how I begged, she had never agreed. She only said she was busy with work, and had no time to go with me. That made me feel disappointed for a long time. Who could have imagined that Su Wanru, who devoted herself to work, would go to such lengths just to make Song Jingyan happy? After all, no one compares to the one in her heart. I was not sad, only somewhat emotional about it. I nodded and accepted the task. After throwing out the trash, I immediately began arranging things for the next 7 days. without the nonstop barrage of calls. I was finally able to rest properly. Every day, Song Jingnian posted many vacation photos, from scenery to food, from selfies to couple photos, everything imaginable. Whenever I saw them, I would tap to look, not because I was snooping, just treating it as virtual travel for my eyes. That day, Xia Xiao's secretary suddenly sent me a message, saying she would take me to see the marital home. I had nothing to do, so I agreed. We went to the villa district near Xian Mountain. Just after entering the second building, something suddenly came up, so the secretary left first. I wandered around alone, but found it boring. So I planned to leave first. Just as I reached the door, two familiar voices came from outside the villa. Wanru, why did you suddenly think of giving me a house? Don't you like painting? The scenery here is beautiful. You can come whenever you want inspiration. Having a house here means you'll have somewhere to rest. Seeing how thoughtful she was, Song Jingnian did not decline anymore. As expected of little sister Wanru, you're really good to me. Hearing the words little sister, a trace of gloom flashed through Su Wanru's eyes. Since you know how good I am, then in the future, don't be sad over that kind of woman who isn't worth it, okay? When she saw me walk out from next door, Su Wanru's tone changed immediately. Why are you here? Were you following me again? I had not expected to run into her here either, so I quickly explained, no, President Su, I came here to look at houses. Song Jingnian looked full of disbelief. Assistant Jiang, looking at houses here. Do you know the price of villas in this area? Su Wanru also found it absurd. The corners of her lips lifted slightly, looking at houses. Don't tell me you're looking for a marital home. Facing the gazes of both of them, I felt embarrassed, but I truly had come to see houses. After hesitating a moment, I still nodded. Song Jingnian glanced at the house beside us, then swept his eyes over the wedding ring on my hand. The surprise in his eyes deepened. What is your wife's name? I did not want to drag Xia Xiao into the mess between Su Wanru and me. After a brief silence, I still said nothing, seeing that I could not explain myself. The coldness in Su Wanru's eyes eased slightly for no reason, but she still disliked my perfunctory act of pretending to be married. In a low voice, she said, Assistant Jiang, since you're here to buy a house, you must have looked enough already. Call your wife right now and finalize it. Otherwise, I'll take it. She stared straight at me, emphasizing the words your wife. This villa truly was nice. The secretary had said it was Xia Xiao's preferred layout. I was too lazy to keep looking around, and had originally planned to choose it. I also knew Su Wanru's personality. If she said it, she would do it. After hesitating, I took out my phone and lightly tapped the number saved as wife. After a full minute of calling, the phone still was not answered. Second by second, time passed. Su Wanru's patience was nearly exhausted, watching me still hold up the phone and continue the act. An inexplicable anger rose in her heart. Just as she was about to speak, a car suddenly sped straight toward the three of us. Watch out. Without thinking, she pulled Song Jingnian to a safe spot. Only when the car came within half a meter did I realize the danger and try to dodge. But half my body still scraped against the car, and I was thrown away. The accident frightened Song Jingnian out of his wits. His face had lost all color. Su Wanru worried about him, and no longer cared to settle things with me. She pulled him into the car and drove away. I rolled more than 10 meters, and a large patch of skin was scraped off my calf, revealing raw pink flesh. The pain made my eyes redden when I propped myself up from the ground. Su Wanru's car happened to pass right by me. Her whole mind was on Song Jingnian. From beginning to end, she never glanced at my battered body once. Dust blew into my face, making me cough nonstop. Even the redness in my eyes deepened. After finally calming down, the phone line nearby transmitted a voice. Jiangchun, what happened to you? Hearing Xia Xiao's voice, I quickly picked up the phone. Not wanting her to worry, I lied. I'm fine. My throat just feels bad. Don't worry. I just wanted to tell you I've chosen the marital home. The price might be a little expensive. Do you want to see photos? A gentle female voice came from the phone. No need to send photos. If you're satisfied, I'm satisfied. No matter how expensive, it's not too expensive. Besides, I trust you. You can decide directly, having just narrowly escaped disaster and then been abandoned. Her gentle comfort was like a pebble dropped into my heart. sending ripples through it. My voice softened too. Enduring the pain, I replied with a smile, "Then let's choose this one." Xiao Xiao said nothing more. I did not want to disturb her work further either. Just as I was about to hang up, her voice, gentle as a spring breeze, came to my ear. "Jiangsheng, we are husband and wife now. No matter what happens to you, you must tell me, okay?" Hearing her words filled with concern, I steadied myself and softly responded. In the end, I limped alone to the hospital. Thinking of Xiao Xiao's words on the way, I could no longer hold back my tears. They were from pain and also from warmth. This injury was not considered severe, but it was not light either. In the end, it took more than 10 stitches. After resting in the hospital for several days, I returned to the company to continue working. I had just finished organizing the meeting schedule for 2 days later, when Secretary Liu knocked and came in. With an anxious expression, she said, "Jiang Chun, do you know where President Su is? We can't reach her at all, but Feishan is urging us for the contract. It has to be sent today." I had also been closely following the Feishan project and knew how important it was. I could not bear to let the project teams' months of hard work go to waste. So I took the documents and said I'd try. I hailed a taxi, then opened Song Jingnian's Moments. I gave the driver the hot spring resort address that he had posted an hour earlier. Along the way, I called Su Wanru several times, but none connected. I was getting anxious too. When I arrived at the resort, Song Jingnian and Su Wanru were having afternoon tea. The moment she saw me, the smile on her face instantly darkened. "What are you doing here?" I knew my coming would ruin her good mood. But business came first, so I could only explain patiently. When Song Jingnian heard it was about work, he immediately stood up. "Wanru, since you need to handle work, then let's head back first." Su Wanru had spent a long time convincing Song Jingnian to come out on a date. Now that it had been ruined, she was inevitably furious. "I never told you. Even if it's the biggest matter in the world, as long as I'm with Song Jingnian, you are not allowed to disturb us." After scolding me, she flipped the table over, then coldly swept me with a glance. She turned and strode after him. Scalding coffee splashed onto my wound, making me gasp from the pain. I looked at her departing back and gave a bitter smile. I truly had never said such a thing to her. If I had known long ago there was someone so important in her heart, I absolutely would not have wasted so many years on her, nor would I have ignored countless offers to stay by her side as an assistant. While sighing over it, I dragged my leg toward the roadside. The taxi that had originally been parked there was gone, and the resort shuttle cars had all left too. I did not even need to ask. I knew Su Wanru had done it deliberately to punish me. I let out a long sigh and resigned myself to walking downhill in my dress shoes. 10 kilometers. It was dark by the time I got home. My injured leg had already suffered, and I had walked so far. In the darkness, I could not see clearly and fell several times. My body was covered in mud, and my legs were rubbed raw with blisters and blood. It hurt as if I were standing on knife tips. I took off my dress shoes and limped into the living room. Just as I was about to sit down and treat myself, a cold laugh suddenly came from in front of me, was deliberately interrupting me in Song Jingnian. "Really that amusing to you?" I raised my head and met Su Wanru's eyes, burning with anger. I supported my aching waist as I stood up and lowered my head. My tone was calm and respectful. "President Su, I truly came to deliver the documents. I didn't know Mr. Song was that important to you." After apologizing, I handed over the documents I had carried all day. Without getting signed, Su Wanru took them expressionlessly and opened them, then tore them page by page into pieces right in front of me. Afterward, she raised the plastic folder and threw it directly at me. "There is no place by my side for people with ulterior motives. If today's incident happens again, you can pack your things and leave." After saying that, she slammed the door and left without looking back. Looking at the scraps of paper scattered all over the floor, I leaned against the tea table and slowly crouched down. I pulled out tissues and wiped the blood from my leg. Suddenly, I laughed out loud. Next time? There won't be a next time. Only 10 days remained before I really packed up and left. When I arrived at the company the next day, Secretary Liu personally delivered a document to me. I opened it and skimmed through it. It turned out to be a disciplinary notice. They docked my wages for the second half of the year and my year-end bonus. Besides that, Secretary Liu also told me the company had issued a new rule. From now on, whenever President Su and Mr. Song were together, no one was allowed to disturb them. I was the cautionary example. I raised no objections. I quickly signed the notice, then picked up my coffee cup and went to the break room. Because of this new rule, the whole company was buzzing with gossip. Everyone started discussing the rumors about Su Wanru and Song Jinmin. Those with inside connections dug up even more. I heard the Yunhai project was bought just for Mr. Song. He likes skiing, so President Su directly acquired it. The antique tea set President Su asked me to auction last time is also in Mr. Song's hands. I listened silently and did not join in. I focused on making coffee. Several co-workers knew I had been wronged and gathered around to comfort me. Jiangcheng, you really are innocent. Everyone thinks you suffered an undeserved disaster. Why don't you go apologize to President Su and see if there's still room to fix things? I shook my head. In a relaxed tone, I said, I'm leaving soon anyway. I wasn't going to get that money to begin with. Forget it. Hearing that, everyone in the break room gathered around. They all started asking at once, You're really leaving? We all thought you were joking. Would President Su agree? Yeah, you followed her for so many years. Didn't she even try to keep you? I smiled and looked up at everyone. My tone was extremely sincere. Really, in 9 more days, I'll be gone. If fate allows, we'll meet again. Once that news spread, quite a few co-workers specially came to say goodbye. Fortunately, Su Wanru was busy accompanying Song Jingnian these days and did not come to the company. She also never contacted me again. I enjoyed the peace. I slowly wrapped up the projects in my hands. 2 days before leaving, I had just gotten home when I suddenly received a call from Song Jingnian. Assistant Jiang, are you free right now? Bring some stomach medicine to my house. Wanru's stomach problem is acting up. I brought the medicine and hurried to the Song residence. Song Jingnian took the medicine box, poured out 2 pills, then picked up a glass of water and personally tried to feed Su Wanru. She was not used to such sudden intimacy. Subconsciously, she turned her head to look at me. The moment she saw my expressionless face, Su Wanru immediately realized that her reaction seemed somewhat strange. She quickly withdrew her gaze and took the medicine. After watching her swallow it, Song Jingnian set down the cup and placed a pillow behind her neck. Then he turned to look at me. I remember Wanru was in very good health. Why did she suddenly develop stomach problems? I glanced at Su Wanru and saw that she kept her head lowered. Only then did I answer in my usual tone, calmly saying, after you went abroad, President Su developed a drinking habit. She would get drunk 4 or 5 times every month. Her stomach gradually worsened. She also refused to go to the hospital. So as it dragged on, halfway through, the silent Su Wanru suddenly raised her head and shot me a glare. She seemed shocked that I was actually helping her case by talking so much. Do you ever watch your mouth? The medicine's here already. Why aren't you leaving? I did not know which sentence I had said wrong to make her angry again, but I no longer wanted to dwell on it. I gave a slight nod, then turned and left the villa. Just after stepping out of the elevator, I heard hushed voices in the garage. I slowed my steps and looked. It was the drivers of the Su and Song families. President Su has been accompanying your young master every day lately. Is something good about to happen? No way. Mr. Jiang only broke up with his girlfriend recently. I even saw his eyes red 2 days ago. Can he recover that quickly? You don't understand heartbreak. People always move on. With a woman as wonderful as President Su, and with how devoted she is to him, he'll be moved sooner or later. Listening to their casual conversation, for some reason, I also revealed a relieved smile. Yes, Su Wanru had waited for Song Jingnian for 12 years. Someone as devoted as her would surely have the day she got what she wished for. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. I was about to begin a new life myself. The day before I left, Su Wanru still had not returned. I went with Xia Xiao's secretary to a bridal shop and chose a wedding dress I liked very much. It suited Xia Xiao very well. After getting home, I gathered everything related to Su Wanru. Whatever could be burned, I burned. Whatever could not, I threw away. Looking at the room I had lived in for 10 years now emptied out, I turned off the light and quietly fell asleep. On the day I left, the 8 o'clock alarm woke me right on time. I rubbed my eyes, got up, washed, and put on makeup, then went to the company. After finishing the resignation procedures, I returned home. I packed the last few daily necessities I had left into a suitcase, then closed the door. The butler said Su Wanru had returned. I thought I should at least say goodbye, so I dragged my suitcase to her bedroom door and knocked softly. A minute later, the door opened. Su Wanru leaned out halfway and coldly asked what I wanted. Before I could say the words I had prepared, the corner of her eye caught the luggage behind me. A mocking expression appeared on her face. Don't tell me. You're moving into a new home because you're getting married. So, you're leaving this place? Naturally, I could hear the sarcasm in her words. This time, I still answered seriously, yes. I'm getting married tomorrow and moving out. So I came to let you know. If you have time, I invite you and Mr. Song to attend the wedding. Seeing me act so convincingly, Su Wanru almost wanted to praise my performance. Just as she was about to speak, her phone chimed several times with messages from Song Jingnian. She checked them while picking up her coat and walking out. Before leaving, she turned back to look at me. Her tone was as arrogant as ever. Jiangsheng, my patience is limited. This is the last time I'm telling you. Stop acting. Watching her leave without looking back, I smiled calmly. Su Wanru, I wasn't acting. I'm really getting married tomorrow, and it's true that I'm leaving. After saying that, I gave one final look around this house that held so many of my memories. 10 years. I had been entangled with Su Wanru for a full 10 years. Su Wanru, one day you will know that the cheap man in your eyes will also be someone else's treasured jewel. After that final glance, I picked up my phone and sent Xia Xiao a message. Miss Xia, tomorrow is the wedding. Have you returned to the country? My phone chimed at once. Xia Xiao replied almost instantly. I've already landed at the airport. I'll arrive at the wedding on time. Mr. Jiang, please take care of me for the rest of our lives. After seeing the reply, my heart instantly found a place to belong. I smiled, pulled my suitcase, turned around and left step by step. Jiangsheng left the Su family estate, leaving decisively, without looking back. The next day, Su Wanru went to the company as usual and called for me to make coffee, only to be told I had completed the process and resigned. Su Wanru was so furious she nearly smashed the entire floor. She had never expected that while she spent the past month accompanying Song Jingnian, I would truly resign. She tore my resignation letter into pieces, yet still was not satisfied. She directly got up and returned to the old estate, ready to settle accounts with me. Just as she reached the door, the butler hurried over and told her that I had already moved out yesterday. Hearing that, Su Wanru was enraged. With a dark expression, she took out her phone and called me. After the call connected, she did not give me a chance to speak and immediately began scolding me. Jiang Shun, this fake marriage act of yours, are you going to keep it up forever? If you really want to leave, then don't ever come back in this lifetime. Faced with her fury, my reaction was unusually calm. As if giving a work report. President Su, I won't be coming back. Please rest assured, I did not lie to you either. I really am getting married today. The moment I finished speaking, the butler smacked his forehead. He took an invitation from his pocket and handed it over. President Su, Jiangsheng gave this to me yesterday and asked me to pass it to you today. Seeing the gilded words, we're getting married on the cover, Su Wanru's face flushed with anger. She snatched the invitation and threw it to the driver, ordering him to rush to the wedding venue immediately. All the way there, her mind was in chaos, replaying the image of me carrying my suitcase yesterday. Her expression was dark enough to drip water. After the driver parked, she yanked open the car door and strode to the elevator. When she came out again, she saw the spacious hall filled with banquet tables, with flowers decorating every corner on and off the stage. Her heart sank straight to the bottom. After a few seconds, a server came forward to greet her and directly led her backstage. When she personally saw me dressed in white formal wear, Su Wanru was so angry that the veins on her forehead throbbed. She looked around, but did not see the bride. The clock on the wall showed 10:50. With only 10 minutes left before the ceremony began, realizing something was wrong, Su Wanru snatched the invitation from the driver's hand, opened it, and saw the bride's name written as Xia Xiao. The reason she had stormed over instantly returned to her. Xia Xiao, your wife is Xia Xiao? Su Wanru looked at me in disbelief. her tone full of ridicule. Hearing that name, the people who came with her all laughed. Don't tell me it's that Miss Xia. She'd marry you, the son of a maid. What a joke. With the Xia family's status, you're not even qualified to be her lover. Listening to her friends' mocking laughter, Su Wanru became even more convinced that all of this was merely an elaborate act I had staged. At this point, she rarely lowered herself to say a few words to me. I won't pursue any of the previous matters anymore. Just come back with me obediently. I calmly straightened my cuff. Thank you for being so magnanimous. But sorry, today is my wedding. I have no intention of going back. How had Su Wanru ever been rejected like this? Seeing the determination on my face, the anger in her chest was instantly ignited. She raised her hand and smashed the champagne tower beside her. Those long brewing words of reprimand were about to burst out, when a sudden phone call interrupted her. She lowered her head to look at the caller ID on the screen, hesitating whether to answer first or finish scolding me first. I suddenly spoke. Mr. Song is calling. Are you sure you still want to stay here? Su Wanru was convinced all of this was just a farce, convinced I had no bride today. She lifted her chin and looked at me coldly. Her tone was icy. Of course I won't stay here. Song Jingyan is far more important than you. If you want to marry, then marry. I'd like to see who would marry you. After throwing down those words, she turned around directly and left the wedding venue without looking back. I didn't say a word. After watching her leave, I walked to the front hall. A server came to my side. In a low voice, he asked, Mr. Jiang, that lady and her friends have already left. May the wedding begin now? The moment he finished speaking, the clock struck 12. The wedding march began right on time. The sound of a car starting came from outside. The tightly closed doors opened the next second. Xia Xiao, dressed in a white wedding gown, pushed open the door under the eagerly waiting gazes in the hall. She adjusted her bouquet and walked right to my side. Smiling, she nudged me lightly. Sorry, I'm late. Not late at all. Hearing my gentle reassurance, the smile at Xia Xiao's lips deepened. She extended one hand, her eyes full of tenderness and resolve. Then let's enter. I nodded. I took her hand into mine. Amid the screams and blessings of the crowd, we linked arms and slowly entered. Outside the window, ceremonial fireworks roared. Pink and white rose petals drifted down softly. Camera flashes kept going off below the stage. Aside from Xia Xiao before me, everything around me felt unfamiliar. And as for Xia Xiao, I wasn't that familiar with her either. Everything felt like a dream, leaving me dazed. The host skillfully guided the wedding process, and soon it was time to exchange rings. Xia Xiao lifted my hand, and when she gently placed that ring onto my ring finger, I finally truly felt that I was the main character of this wedding. Ever since my mother passed away 3 years ago, I had no family left in this world. Without family, there was no home. I had been living alone in the Su household, but after today, I would no longer be alone. I had a new family and brand new loved ones. As for what the future would be like, I did not know. I lowered my eyes and stared at the ring on my hand. In my heart, I prayed that today would be tomorrow's beginning, and not yesterday's ending. Seeing me lost in thought, Xia Xiao clasped my hand tightly. The warmth of her palm passed through my skin and reached my hand. I instinctively raised my head and fell into those gentle eyes, soft as spring water. The wedding ceremony was completed. Everyone below the stage started chanting for us to kiss, although we had been chatting this past month. In truth, we had only met twice, so hearing the crowd cheer made me a little nervous. Xia Xiao remained quite calm. She softly asked, "May I?" Seeing her move, I had already prepared myself. But hearing her ask so politely all of a sudden, I became flustered instead. Xia Xiao seemed to catch the change in my expression. She could understand how I felt. Smiling, she raised her hand, signaling for me to gently place a kiss on the back of it and end it there. The soft touch on my lips made me tremble slightly. The noise below the stage did not stop because of that. Instead, it grew louder and louder, wave after wave. A helpless smile flashed across Xia Xiao's face. She was about to end it hastily and move on to the next part when I pulled her into my arms. In her eyes full of surprise, I decided to go all the way. I kissed her lips. In an instant, thunderous applause erupted below the stage. The reporters who had managed to sneak in raised their cameras and captured the moment. 5 minutes later, a trending topic about the president of the Xia Group getting married, accompanied by over a dozen freshly taken photos from the scene, shot to the headlines. This bombshell news, like thunder out of nowhere, sparked heated discussion the moment it was released. On the way back to the city, the third Miss Ju idly scrolled through her phone. The moment she saw the trending topic, she unconsciously read it aloud. The president of the Xia Group gets married. Xia Xiao got married? That small comment at first did not attract anyone's attention in the car, until the driver in front muttered, "What a coincidence. Mr. Jian's bride is also named Xia Xiao." Only then did everyone react. Miss Ju opened the photo and zoomed in. The moment she saw the bride's face, her eyes widened. She climbed from the back seat to the middle, holding the phone in front of Su Wanru. Her voice was extremely urgent. "Wanru Ji, look at the man Xia Xiao married. Doesn't he look like Jiang Cheng?" The man in the photo, from the style of his suit to his hair and appearance, was someone they had seen just half an hour ago. There was no mistaking him. The indifferent look in Su Wanru's eyes turned into disbelief the moment she saw the photo. She snatched the phone away and swiped through the photos one by one. At last, she stopped at the one of us kissing. She felt as if her mind were about to explode. An unprecedented panic surged into her heart. With trembling hands, she took out her own phone and called my number. Again and again and again. No one answered. A nameless fury spread wildly through her mind, quickly devouring what little reason she had left. The long ringing tone made her unable to control herself. She smashed the phone against the seat back. Grinding her teeth, she ordered the driver to turn back. The friends beside her did not dare make a sound. At last, Miss Ju gathered the courage to remind her softly, "Wanru Ji, Song Jingnian is still waiting for you. Turn back." At the roar, the driver jolted in fright. Ignoring all traffic rules, he made a sharp 180-degree turn in the road, then sped toward Yunshui Bay. When the car pulled into the hotel again, Su Wanru flung open the door. Without waiting for the elevator, she ran upstairs directly. The wedding ceremony in the hall had already ended. The toast session was now underway. I had changed into traditional Chinese attire and followed behind Xia Xiao, meeting her relatives and friends. Just halfway through, hotel security chased someone inside. It instantly drew everyone's attention. Under everyone's gaze, Su Wanru rushed straight to my side without restraint. She grabbed my hand and tried to drag me away. Seeing her return like this, I was startled too. Instinctively, I steadied myself and tried to shake her off. In the pulling and struggling, I lost my footing and fell to the ground. Xia Xiao quickly crouched down to help me up. When her eyes landed on the red marks on my calf, her brows immediately furrowed. After I stood up, Su Wanru still tried to drag me away. Xia Xiao stepped forward and shielded me behind her. Her face, usually as warm as spring breeze, was now covered in frost. She looked coldly at the uninvited guest before her. "Su Wanru, please show some respect to my husband." Hearing that title, a trace of shock flashed through Su Wanru's eyes. "Your husband, President Xia, I think you're mistaken. Jiang Shun is my assistant." That single sentence immediately made everyone watching show expressions of shock. Xia Xiao's husband, whom no one had ever seen before, was Su Wanru's assistant? Feeling those malicious gazes, I took a deep breath and looked up at Su Wanru. My eyes were as calm as still lake water. "President Su, I've already resigned. If you go to the company now, you'll see my resignation report." Of course, Su Wanru knew I had already resigned. The reason she said that was only to assert ownership. She had not expected me to openly embarrass her in public. Her brows twisted tightly in anger. "So you resigned. But don't forget, your mother worked for the Su family for 30 years. You lived in the Su family for 10 years. Is this how you repay kindness?" Hearing her accusation, a different emotion finally appeared on my face. It was mockery mixed with self-ridicule. President Su, you exaggerate. We worked for money. It was nothing more than a fair trade. Why talk about feelings, a lofty person like you? How could you possibly have any entanglement with an ordinary nobody like me? The moment those words came out, everyone nodded in agreement. Who here didn't know about Su Wanru and Song Jingnian today? If she could fancy a mere assistant, that would truly be unbelievable. Looking at me, having cleared my ties with her in just a few words. The coldness in Su Wanru's eyes deepened. She glared at Xia Xiao. A nanny's son like him is indeed beneath the Su family. Do you really think the Su family can climb the Xia family's ladder? I advise you to recognize your place sooner rather than later. Staying by Su Wanru's side, I had heard countless sneers like this over the past 10 years. I no longer felt the need to argue back. As I was choosing my words, Xia Xiao beside me met her gaze directly. Words like reaching above your station. Su Wanru, you better use them on yourself. In the eyes of the Xia family, everyone is born equal. There is no distinction between high and low. Jiang Sheng and I love each other and became husband and wife. He no longer has any relationship with the Su family. You come here and steal the spotlight. Is this the Su family's upbringing? Those few sentences left Su Wanru flushed with anger, yet unable to reply. She clenched her fists tightly, her features twisted together from rage, making her look terrifying. Several girlfriends who had rushed over sensed something was wrong and hurriedly tried to pull her away, with nowhere to vent the anger in her heart. She could only throw harsh words at me. If you marry her today, then never step into my Su family's door again for the rest of your life. Under her furious glare, I lightly waved my hand, a faint smile on my lips. Don't worry, President Su. Naturally, hearing my calm reply, Su Wanru felt as if her fist had struck cotton. She stared at me darkly for a long moment, then shoved aside the people beside her and strode out of the venue. Several waiters hurriedly went forward to clean up the overturned table and glasses. Xia Xiao also let out a sigh of relief. She first explained things to the guests present. After the wedding banquet resumed, she helped me backstage first and dismissed everyone else when only the two of us were left in the room. I looked at Xia Xiao with a face full of guilt. I'm sorry, I didn't know she would come make a scene at the wedding today. It's all because of me. Xia Xiao gently shook her head. The expression on her face returned to normal. Her gaze was gentle as ever. She is from the Su family. If she wanted to come make trouble, even I couldn't stop her. What could you have done? Since we are husband and wife, then we should face this farce together. Now it's all over. Don't feel guilty, and don't blame yourself. Even though she said that, I knew all of this still weighed heavily on me. I couldn't let it go. If not for me, it would never have come to this. So many people came to the wedding, and it turned into such chaos. Uncle and Annie must be very angry, right? Seeing that I still looked troubled. Xia Xiao handed me a glass of water. Then she patted my shoulder. She comforted me softly, still calling them Uncle and Annie. My parents both have good tempers. They are reasonable people and very protective. They'll only blame the Su family. They won't have enough time to pity you, their son-in-law. Don't think too much. I've got everything handled. After drinking some water, my mood gradually calmed down. I didn't want her to worry about me, so I stopped mentioning it. After Xia Xiao took the cup and set it on the table, she crouched down and touched my ankle. Were you hurt when you fell just now? Did you twist it? I hadn't expected her to notice such small things. I froze for a moment. Xia Xiao pulled out several tissues and gently wiped the dirt off my leg. Then she rolled up my pant leg and looked at the large scar. Her voice was full of heartache. When did you get hurt like this? Was it the day you went to see the house? On the phone, I heard the sound of a car. Were you in a car accident? I really wanted to deny it, but seeing the expression on her face, I didn't want to lie to her. It's almost healed already. It doesn't hurt at all. She saw me force out a smile. Xia Xiao felt even worse inside. She lowered my pant leg, then helped me sit on the sofa. After sending a few messages to her assistant, she bent down and took off my shoes, setting them aside. I've asked my assistant to bring a new pair of shoes. You rest for now, but the wedding banquet. Xia Xiao pressed down on my hand. Her tone was gentle yet firm. The banquet is only ceremony and appearances. Since this is our wedding, I only want you safe and sound. I could no longer remember the last time someone cared about me like this. How long ago had that been? My nose stung, and I quickly lowered my head, but I could not stop the tears surging out. After several girlfriends escorted Su Wanru home, they didn't dare stay a moment longer, and all found excuses to slip away. With a dark expression, she went upstairs, straight to the room where I used to stay. Coldly, she ordered the housekeeper behind her, "Clear everything out of this room. Burn it, leave nothing behind. And if you ever see Jiang Cheng again, don't let him through the door." The housekeeper knew she was in a bad mood, and spoke tremblingly. "Miss." Before Jiang Cheng moved out, he had already dealt with everything. There is nothing left in the room now. He also returned all the keys to me. His fingerprints were deleted too. He shouldn't be able to enter anymore. With every sentence the housekeeper said, her expression darkened further. The housekeeper was so frightened that his voice grew weaker and weaker. Before he could finish, Su Wanru kicked the door open. She looked inside. The room was completely empty. Not even a single strand of hair remained. It looked like a brand new room. That spotless, untouched appearance made the fire of anger in Su Wanru burn even hotter. Where are his things? Did he take them all? Some were burned. Some were thrown away. He only dealt with his personal belongings. The things belonging to the old house were moved to the storage room. Those few words made Su Wanru's face turn livid with anger. She was just about to explode when her phone rang. After seeing the number, she suddenly remembered that she seemed to have stood up. Song Jingnian. The anger in her heart subsided a little, but she never brought unnecessary emotions before him. So after adjusting her breathing and mood, she finally answered the call. "Jingnian, I'm sorry. I suddenly have something to deal with. I probably can't make it to our date today." Before she could finish apologizing, Song Jingnian interrupted her. "It's okay, Wanru, I called to tell you. You don't need to come anymore, because I'm about to board a plane." Hearing this, Su Wanru's heart tightened. "Board a plane? Where are you going? What for?" There was a trace of nervousness in Song Jingnian's voice. "Back to America. Kingen and I got back together. I'm going back to find her. Thank you for taking care of me during this time. If there's a chance, we'll meet again." That one sentence directly threw the tiny bit of hope in Su Wanru's heart into the abyss. She could no longer control her tone or volume, and shouted, "Got back together? What exactly do you see in her? I've practically given you my whole heart. You'd rather choose her than give me even one chance." There was silence on the phone for a moment. Then Song Jingnian's guilty voice came through. "I'm sorry, Wanru. I can't forget her. I know you really like me, but all these years, I've truly only seen you as a younger sister. Love is love. It can't be faked, and it can't be forced. Forget me." After being rejected once again, Su Wanru only felt something in her chest. Unable to say a single word, some background noise came through her ears. Amid the bustle, Song Jingnian told her he was about to board, and then hung up. Looking at the screen slowly going dark, an unprecedented sense of defeat surged into Su Wanru's heart. She raised her hand and threw the phone down from the second floor, then slammed the bedroom door shut. She locked herself inside that empty room. After a series of faint rustling footsteps, the world fell completely silent. She only felt all the strength in her body drained away. Supporting herself against the wall, she walked to the chair and collapsed weakly into it. Though the person was gone, the room still carried a faint scent of fresh grass. It was the fragrance oil I always used. Smelling that scent, the turmoil in her mind eased considerably. Her eyelids also grew heavy. Leaning against the cup, Su Wanru fell into a deep sleep. When she woke again, it was already dark. The room lights were off. She could barely see her hand before her face. After leaving the dream, those tangled memories, like a heap of tangled thread, surged back into her mind. They left Su Wanru mentally exhausted. Covering her face, she instinctively called out, "Jiang Cheng, turn on the light and brew a pot of tea." The surroundings were deathly quiet. No one answered. Only then did she realize I had left too. Gone, all gone. They had left her alone here to suffer. Boundless loneliness spread through her heart. She stood up and groped her way out in the dark. She went to the wine cellar and had several cases brought out. After years of heavy drinking, her alcohol tolerance had risen a lot. But her stomach was ruined too. After only 3 or 4 bottles, a burning pain came from her stomach. She curled up and collapsed to the floor. Cold sweat covered her forehead. Painful groans escaped her throat. The servant beside her knew her illness had flared up and hurriedly helped her onto the sofa. Then she searched everywhere for medicine, but I had always managed those things. And after searching for a long time, she found nothing. She had no choice but to pick up the phone and dial emergency services. "Hello, Shinya Hospital, this is..." Before she could finish speaking, Su Wanru forced herself upright, snatched the phone, and hung up. "It's such a small matter, and you're sending me to the hospital. Are you trying to alarm the old woman?" The moment she met Su Wanru's dark gaze, the servant's hair stood on end. She frantically shook her head and explained, "No. It's because Brother Jiangcheng organized all the medicine. I can't find it. I was afraid something would happen to you, so I thought of calling emergency services." At this painful moment, hearing my name again, Su Wanru only felt the pain in her body intensify several-fold. Beads of sweat rolled down. Her face was paler than paper. Seeing her like this, the servant was at a loss. She could only pick up the phone and call me. This time, Su Wanru made no move at all. 10 seconds after it rang, my calm voice came through the phone. "Zhao Yuan, it's so late. What's the matter?" "Brother Jiangcheng, President Su's stomach illness is acting up. Do you know where those medicines are?" "Stomach medicine? I sent all of it to Mr. Song's place last time. There's none left at home either. Take her to the hospital." Hearing this, Zhao Yuan was nearly in tears. President Su refuses to go to the hospital, although Su Wanru was in agony. She had been paying close attention to my reaction. Hearing that, she stretched out a trembling hand. She gestured for the servant to hand over the phone. After hesitating for a few seconds, Zhao Yuan still obeyed. As soon as Su Wanru held the phone to her ear, she heard my utterly emotionless tone. "Then let her suffer. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first." Those words were like needle tips, piercing Su Wanru's heart. Her hand trembled, and the phone fell to the floor. The screen shattered into pieces. Zhao Yuan bent down to pick it up. Looking at her deathly pale face, she spoke softly, "President Su, what did Jiangcheng say?" "Get out. All of you, get out." Hearing her furious yet suppressed roar, Zhao Yuan did not dare say another word. With her head lowered, she quickly left. The moment the door closed, Su Wanru picked up the wine bottle on the table and poured it into her mouth recklessly. One bottle after another. One case after another. By the end, she clutched the table and vomited uncontrollably. Stimulated by the nausea and retching, she could not stop tears from flowing. By the time she finished vomiting, she felt as if her stomach would come out. Her whole body felt light, and she was about to lose consciousness. Before fainting, she stared at the glaring white ceiling light and murmured something. "How could you bear to let me hurt like this? You never used to. You would never ignore me." After hanging up Zhao Yuan's call, I picked up the hairdryer and hummed a tune as I dried my soaking wet hair. When Xiao Xiao came in and saw me smiling, she unconsciously smiled too. She slowly walked to my side and handed me the ointment in her hand. I took it and looked at the ingredients. She went to the cabinet and found cotton swabs, then sat beside me. "What medicine is this?" "It's for scars, very effective." I hadn't expected that she still remembered the injuries on my leg. Warmth quietly rose in my heart. Xiao Xiao told me to roll up my pant leg, then squeeze some ointment onto the cotton swab. She gently applied it to the scars. Watching her patient and careful movements, a trace of emotion flashed in my eyes. After hesitating for a while, I gathered my courage and asked the question I had buried in my heart for a long time. "Back then, when I told you I wanted to marry you, it was so I could leave the Su family smoothly. You agreed so quickly. Was it really only to repay my mother's life-saving kindness?" Xiao Xiao looked up at me, her tone gentle. "A large part of it was to repay kindness. As for the other half, my family was also urging me to get married. I thought we were about the same age, and you had no other family left. I also wanted to look after you in your mother's place, so I agreed." Listening to her explanation, a trace of surprise flashed across my face. "How did you know about my family situation?" After applying the ointment, Xiao Xiao put down the cotton swab and handed me the hot milk she had just brought in. "After your mother passed away, she never contacted me again. So I had someone look into your family's situation. After learning that the elder had passed away, I thought about bringing you to the Xia family and taking care of you. But I privately asked several servants of the Su family, and they all said Su Wanru treated you very well. I thought you probably wouldn't want to leave. So I didn't disturb you. Bringing up the past again, I could not help feeling emotional. 3 years ago, Su Wanru really treated me very well, especially in the months after my mother passed away. She had people watching over me every day, afraid something might happen to me. Whenever she had free time, she would take me out to help me relax. She tried every way to comfort me, afraid I would do something foolish. At that time, I thought she liked me. Together with the loneliness of losing family, I finally gave up 7 years of persistence and handed my whole heart to her. After experiencing more in life and becoming more mature, I only then realized belatedly that all of Su Wanru's concern for me back then was nothing more than sympathy and pity. Besides that, the slight favoritism she showed me in front of others was only my illusion. Thinking carefully about it, how could Su Wanru truly care about me? She only felt that I had grown up in the Su family and had followed her for so many years. So protecting me was merely another way of protecting herself. In truth, the person she cared about, the one she held in her heart from beginning to end, was only Song Jinian. To her, I was nothing more than a servant she was used to having around. What remained by her side was merely a little assistant following her around. I was only someone who could help her solve all kinds of trouble, a tool, nothing more. Called when needed, dismissed when not. How was I any different from Secretary Liu or Zhao Yuan? Fortunately, I had already accepted the truth now, and was no longer lost in it. Warm steam rushed toward my face, pulling me out of my memories. I let out a long breath and looked at Xia Xia with a smile. My tone was filled with sincere gratitude. Thank you for helping me with such a huge favor. Now that I've left the Su family, Su Wanru probably won't come looking for me again. If you want a divorce, I can agree anytime. Hearing this, Xia Xiao straightened up, looking at me seriously. Marriage is not a joke. Since I agreed to marry you, I was prepared to spend this whole life with you. But if you don't believe me, then let's date first. When you can accept me, then we can truly be husband and wife, okay? Long before I proposed marriage, I had heard many people talk about Xia Xiao. Everyone said she was gentle by nature, warm and pleasant to be around. I knew she had such a good temperament, which was why I thought to call and try my luck. And after she agreed to such an absurd request and quickly registered our marriage, my understanding of her was renewed once again, especially after everything that happened today. I felt even more fortunate to know someone like her. Now, hearing her say these words, I felt as if luck had fallen from the sky onto me. I stared at her blankly, my heart surging. I had so many things to say, yet I didn't know where to begin. Seeing my dazed expression, Xia Xiao inexplicably found me a little cute. She couldn't help rubbing against my shoulder. Don't want to be lovers? Then can we start as friends? I knew she said that to lighten the mood, trying to cheer me up, but my face still quickly flushed red. I didn't dare meet her eyes again. My fingers kept tapping against the glass. Seeing how shy I was, Xia Xiao's heart stirred. We've already got the marriage certificate. Just give me one chance. Maybe our marriage wasn't an accident, but something destined by heaven. That one sentence successfully made even my ears burn red. After a moment, I nodded lightly. The movement was too small, and Xia Xia wasn't sure of my answer. So she asked again. My heart pounded wildly. In a voice as soft as a mosquito, I said, then let's try. Starting as lovers. The smell of hospital disinfectant entered my nose. Su Wanru opened her eyes. At once, she saw her stern-faced father. For one man, you've reduced yourself to this. Su Wanru, haven't you learned your lesson? Listening to the harsh scolding, Su Wanru closed her eyes again. Her brows were tightly furrowed. Her voice was hoarse. It wasn't because of him. Oh, you're trying to fool me. Song Jinian boarded a plane yesterday afternoon, and last night you drank yourself into the hospital. If you really had backbone, you'd chase after him and bring him back. What does tormenting yourself accomplish? Hearing him bring up these aggravating matters, Su Wanru became irritated too, unable to control her temper. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a girlfriend, and you still keep protecting him like treasure. Which son of the Yin family or Jiu family isn't better than him? Do you really have to hang yourself on that one tree? Su Wanru knew her father well, and understood that these words were just another way of pressuring her to date and marry. She grew even more impatient. None of them compared to him. Not even Jiang Shun. The moment those words left her mouth, both father and daughter froze. Su Wanru's mind was in chaos. She didn't know why she had compared me to them. Her father looked at her in shock. Jiang Shun is nothing more than a maid's son. He's not worthy of you at all. Give up that idea. For some reason, hearing those words from her father, Su Wanru felt especially displeased. She couldn't help but retort, he's not worthy. But I enjoy looking at him. I don't enjoy looking at those Yan and Jiu family people. Her father tested her with a grim face. You value him so much. Don't tell me you like him. Su Wanru's heart skipped a beat. She froze on the spot. She turned her head away to hide the expression on her face. How is that possible? When she said that, there was a trace of hesitation in her voice. Her experienced father immediately sensed something was wrong. If you really like him, just keep him by your side for fun. His mother was an honest person, and your grandmother liked her very much. When you get tired of him someday, don't mistreat him. As for marriage, listen to your mother. You're not young anymore. Stop delaying. Although her father left, his words still lingered, echoing in Su Wanru's ears. She stared fixedly at the white wall. Her hands gripped the blanket tightly. Her mind was a complete mess. Did she like Jiang Sheng? No, she liked Song Jingnian all along. Since Song Jingnian didn't like her, then why had she been so angry yesterday? When she learned Jiang Shun was getting married, Su Wanru couldn't understand it. All kinds of messy thoughts flashed through her mind. For a moment, it was going to America to find Song Jingnian. She quickly rejected that. Then it was calling me and asking me to come back, but she couldn't swallow her pride. Then it was listening to the old man, then going on a blind date. Yet she found those people annoying. As her thoughts twisted and turned, they had already strayed from their original track, reaching the point of asking me to be her lover and using me to drive away a few blind date candidates. For some reason, the moment that thought appeared, it took root and sprouted in her heart. Su Wanru narrowed her eyes and recalled many past events. She knew I had liked her for many years, and she was aware of it. Yet she had never exposed it. Day after day, year after year, she had grown used to a life with me following behind her, like keeping a little cat. She glanced at me now and then. She also knew I desperately wanted a proper status, but in her eyes, the only person qualified to stand by her side was Song Jingnian. She had held on to that belief for many years. But yesterday, after learning Song Jingnian had gone abroad again, that belief began to loosen. She had waited for him for many years, from first meeting at age 7 until now, 19 years in total. She thought such persistence would move him. Yet in the end, all she got was one word, sister. For a former girlfriend, with ordinary family background and ordinary looks, Song Jingnian abandoned her once again. Su Wanru was tired too. The moment she hung up the phone, she was completely disappointed. She decided to let Song Jingnian go, and let herself go too. After making that decision, she was calmer and more decisive than she expected. None of the imagined scenes of heartbreak, despair, or bitter tears happened. She simply slept once and let him go. And the drinking afterward was only to numb the loneliness in her heart. Standing at the top, no one understood better than Su Wanru what it meant that all under heaven bustle for profit, all under heaven scramble for gain. Though many people followed behind her every day, she understood that all of them only came for the power in her hands. There were not many people she could truly trust, and I was one of them. What I liked was her as a person, not her status as the president of the Su Group. That was why she had always kept me by her side, for no other reason than to have someone to talk to when she felt lonely. But in the end, even that hope came to nothing. She could only seek comfort in alcohol. Today, after hearing what her father said, she finally realized that I did carry some weight in her heart. Compared with everyone else, she would rather have me standing by her side. After confirming that thought once again, she called in her secretary and told him to send me a message asking to meet. But a whole day passed, and there was no reply at all. She lost patience and called me directly, but no one answered. In the end, she was blocked. Su Wanru was furious yet helpless. Just then, Zhao Yuan came to deliver dinner. Seeing her, she remembered the phone call before going to the hospital. She waved her hand at her. On the first day of our marriage, Xia Xiao took me back to the family home. Although we had met briefly during the toast yesterday, the people involved hadn't exchanged many words. Today, when the whole family met again, the table was lively and cheerful. The two elders held me and chatted endlessly. With Xia Xiao beside me, the stone hanging in my heart finally dropped. I quickly blended into the family atmosphere. Having lived in the Su family for 10 years, I had seen plenty of grand occasions. I was naturally smooth and tactful in dealing with people, and knew how to speak pleasantly. One kept the two elders laughing nonstop. After chatting all day, when it was time to part that evening, they were somewhat reluctant to let me go, and told me to come back often when I was free. I agreed with a smile and went upstairs to tell them to take good care of themselves. Only then did we get in the car. On the way back, Xia Xiao drove the car and asked with a smile how I was feeling. I rolled down the window, feeling the gentle evening breeze. The restraint I had on the way there was gone, and I completely relaxed. Very good. I enjoyed chatting, and I enjoyed eating. The only bad thing is that time passed too quickly. I'm even a little reluctant to leave Dad and Mom. Dad and Mom? Hearing Xia Xiao's puzzled voice, I then realized it, and quickly corrected myself. Dad and Mom. I really like them. Bring me back to see them more often in the future. Hearing me make such a request, Xia Xiao smiled until her eyes curved. As long as you're happy. They truly like you a lot. I didn't lie to you, did I? I smiled and was about to answer her, when my phone suddenly rang. I thought it was Su Wanru, and instinctively wanted to hang up. When I saw it was Zhao Yuan, I answered it instead. Brother Jiang Sheng, Butler Zhang said you moved out to get married. Why didn't you tell me? I bought you a wedding gift today. Are you free tomorrow? Can we meet up? At the Su family, Zhao Yuan was one of the few friends I had. So I didn't suspect anything, and agreed to have a meal with her tomorrow. After setting the place, I told Xia Xiao about it. She agreed, and even asked for the time and address, saying she would drive me there tomorrow. I felt a little embarrassed, and politely declined. While waiting at a traffic light, Xia Xiao turned her head, and looked at me helplessly. Don't be afraid of troubling me. We just got married. I'm still on vacation. If I'm not spending time with you, what else would I do? After you finish eating tomorrow, I still want to take you on a date, to deepen our relationship. That sounds more accurate. Only then did I let down my guard. By the time we got home, it was already 9 at night. After washing up, I picked up the book by the bedside and read for half an hour. I did not put it down to rest until Xia Xiao came in. The lights in the room went out, leaving only the warm glow of the bedside lamp as we lay side by side. Then we started chatting again. Xia Xiao told me stories from her childhood, making me laugh nonstop. I held my stomach, raised one hand, and waved at her. Stop talking. She took my hand and tucked it under the blanket. Then she gently said, "Good night." The room slowly grew quiet. Listening to the soft breathing beside me, feeling the warmth in my hand, my heart settled down. Thinking back on the laughter of the day, and looking at the face before me, peacefully asleep, I suddenly found the feeling of home again. 3 years after my mother passed away, in a brand new home, I found the sense of security I had lost for many years. As agreed, I pushed open the private room door. The moment I saw Su Wanru, I could not help frowning. I turned to leave, but she shut the door before I could. We were standing too close, so I stepped back a few paces to create distance. I looked at her quietly. You asked Zhao Yuan to call me out. What is it? Seeing the guarded look all over my face, Su Wanru felt a little uncomfortable. She leaned back in the chair, crossing her arms and legs, as arrogant as ever. We've known each other for 10 years. Can't we chat for a bit? What do you want to talk about? Su Wanru played with the wine glass in her hand, looking lazy and relaxed. Let's talk about how you secretly latched onto Xia Xiao behind my back. Her tone, expression, and attitude all made me feel disgusted. My tone was firm. After resigning, I already drew a clear line between myself and President Su. No comment. Su Wanru let out a cold laugh. You think if you don't say it, I won't know. She's such a rule-abiding person. She hasn't met many men. You threw yourself at her. Of course she couldn't resist. You do have some tricks. You even coaxed her into giving you a wedding. You even fooled me. That frivolous tone of hers made my face slowly turn cold as well, but I did not want to argue with her. So I simply went along with her words. I wanted to see what she really wanted. What if she's tired of me? And what if she's not? Seeing me admit it, Suwon regained 60 to 70% confidence. A gleam flashed in her eyes. The smugness of thinking she had me in hand. If she's tired of you, then come back obediently. This time I won't hold it against you. If she's not tired of you yet, my patience is limited. I don't have time for your push and pull games. Whatever you want, just say it. As long as it's not too much. If you want to be my lover or something, I can satisfy you. As she said this, she still wore that superior expression, as if granting charity. I could not help but laugh. Many thanks for your generosity, President Su. But sorry, I have no intention of returning to your side. Assistant or not, lover or not, please find someone else. I won't accompany you anymore. Goodbye. After saying that, I did not hesitate for a second. I turned around and reached for the door. My words and actions made Su Wanru so angry she could no longer sit still. She shot to her feet and smashed the glass. Her tone was full of furious frustration. Jiangsheng, don't be ungrateful. Xiao only put on a fake wedding with you. You don't seriously think she would marry you, do you? When she gets tired of playing with you and throws you out, and you come begging me then, I won't have such a good temper anymore. I looked at her calmly, but I still kindly decided to tell her the truth. President Su, I registered my marriage with Xiao a month ago. I've said this countless times. Why won't you believe it? As for what happens in the future, it shouldn't be something a former boss like you needs to worry about. Hearing the words registered marriage, all the blood in Su Wanru's body seemed to freeze. She looked at me in disbelief. Why would she agree to marry you? Hearing her voice lose control, I did not stop. Only my faint voice echoed in the room. Not everyone is like you, President Su. With a bang, the door closed behind me as Su Wanru stood there in a daze. Her mind went blank. She had thought my wedding with Xiao was only a show, but never expected we had already registered our marriage. The confidence she had built up before coming collapsed in an instant, replaced by panic. Countless questions and confusion swirled in her heart. Unwilling to let me go like this, she hurried after me, but outside the door, it was empty. No one was there. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly pressed the elevator button and chased downstairs. After I went upstairs, Xiao waited in the cafe downstairs. Though she was looking at her phone, her eyes kept watching the hallway. When she saw Su Wanru appear, a bad feeling flashed through her heart. The other woman was searching around anxiously, and the moment she saw her, she strode over. Her tone was far from friendly. Where is Jiang Shun? Xiao's heart sank. She vaguely guessed something. Her gaze gradually turned cold. If you need something, I can find him. It has nothing to do with you. Hearing Su Wanru's impatient tone, Xiao also dropped her usual gentle composure. He is my husband. Those two words deeply stabbed Su Wanru's heart. She glared over. Her face was full of resentment. Xiao, what kind of man can't you get? Why fight me over a mere assistant? He's not worthy of marrying into your Xia family. You should let him go. Hearing the way she spoke of me, with such disdain and contempt, Xiao's eyes gradually sharpened. Jiang Sheng is an independent person. He is not a gift to be given away. Nor is he your possession. You have no right, and no to interfere in his life. Su Wanru, save that arrogant superiority for someone else. He and you were never meant for the same path. Those few words made Su Wanru's anger surge, but in a crowded public place, she could only forcibly suppress it. She tightly clenched her fist and stared at Xiao for a long while, before storming off. After the sports car drove away, my voice came from behind. What are you looking at? Hearing the familiar voice, a faint smile appeared on Xiao's face. She turned around, her voice as gentle as a spring breeze. There were the cats fighting just now. So I watched for a bit. I subconsciously looked outside too. I muttered, "Cats." I thought it was Su Wanru. "Did you see her?" Hearing me mention that name. Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness too subtle to notice. "No. Did you run into her just now?" She had Zhao Yuan make the call. I came out after only a few words. Then I went to the restroom. "I thought the two of you might run into each other." Seeing that my expression was still fairly relaxed, Xiao finally felt relieved. She did not want me to keep worrying over Su Wanru. So she quickly changed the subject and talked about the afternoon plans. Laughing and chatting, the two of us walked outside. For the entire afternoon, we shopped like an ordinary young couple, watched movies, took photos, and went on dates. Over the next few days, we went nowhere. We stayed at home, planning the layout of the villa on Xian Mountain together. Married life flowed by as calmly as water. And I grew used to having Xiao by my side. With each day together, the two of us came to understand each other more deeply. That unfamiliar distance, politeness, and worry all slowly melted away. May 18th is my mother's death anniversary. Every year on this day, I travel thousands of miles back to my hometown to visit my mother, who was buried together with my father. In previous years, I always came alone. This year, Xiao was with me. After we landed, the weather was gloomy. We first went to a flower shop and bought a large bouquet. Then we hurried to the cemetery in the cold wind. It had rained earlier. The ground was slippery. Xiao held my hand and carefully watched the road. We passed through the dense pine forest. At the end of the path was my mother's grave. The closer I got, the heavier my heart became. I wanted to see that tombstone, yet didn't want to. As I struggled and looked up, I saw a familiar figure. Su Wanru stood not far away, holding a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. Her burning gaze fell on me. To be exact, it was fixed on the hands Xiao and I were holding. After my mother passed away, I never heard Su Wanru mention her again. It seemed that in her world, my mother was nothing more than a passerby, once dead, forgotten, never mourned. So seeing her here, one word suddenly surfaced in my mind: intrusion. Whether it was this remote border town, or the cold and desolate atmosphere around us, none of it suited this extremely self-centered air of the Su group. Even the bouquet in her hands looked out of place. If we had met by chance normally, I would have felt calm seeing her. But seeing her at the resting place of my parents, I felt she had bad intentions. My heart was filled with vigilance. Beside me, Xiao also frowned. Her pace quickened slightly, shielding me behind her. The three of us faced each other before the tombstone, silently staring, until a fine drizzle began to fall again. Only then did Su Wanru speak. "You brought her back to pay respects." I didn't look at her. I lowered my head and arranged the flowers in my hands. My voice was calm, a daughter-in-law paying respects to her parents-in-law. "Is there a problem with that?" "No problem. Very good." Su Wanru gritted her teeth as she said it. A trace of displeasure flashed across her face. I didn't care at all how she felt now. I directly asked her bluntly, "President Su, what are you here for?" Su Wanru glanced at me. She bent down and placed the flowers before the tombstone. Her voice was low. "Your mother worked for my family for over 30 years. Of course I came to visit an old acquaintance. Someone like Su Wanru never acts without benefit. For her to visit 3 years after the deceased passed away was impossible. I knew she definitely had another motive. I didn't want to fall into her trap. After a perfunctory thanks, I ignored her. I took Xiao's hand and turned toward the tombstone. The two of us focused on paying respects, as if she didn't exist. At first, Su Wanru could still endure it, but when she realized we truly treated her as if she were nothing, an uncontrollable irritation rose in her. She couldn't help breaking the solemn silence. "I still remember your mother's last words before she died. She asked me to take good care of you. I didn't expect that only 3 years later, you'd move out. If her spirits still exist in heaven, and she knew about this, I wonder how she'd feel." After those meaningful words, no one responded to her. Xiao and I acted as if we hadn't heard. We sincerely bowed to the grave. We carefully wiped the tombstone clean, After arranging all the offerings, Xia Xiao slowly helped me stand up. The rain grew heavier. We quietly turned and walked down the mountain. Left behind where she stood, Su Wanru watched our backs, her whole face twisted in anger. She hurried after us. At the cemetery gate, she grabbed my arm. Her voice carried fury. "You're ignoring me?" I stopped walking. I looked sideways at the hand gripping me. My voice turned icy, causing trouble in front of my mother's grave on her death anniversary. "Su Wanru, do you think that's amusing? After knowing each other for so many years." Su Wanru heard me call her full name for the first time. Back in school, I followed the household staff and called her Miss. After becoming her assistant, I followed everyone else and called her President Su. Those two forms of address, no matter when, where, or in what situation, were always filled with restraint and respect. But this time, Su Wanru was so cold it pierced skin and seeped into bone. It made her shiver involuntarily. Xia Xiao stepped forward and took my hand. Then she led me quickly into the car. Rain filled the sky. The car drove toward the city. The cold late autumn rain soaked Su Wanru's face. It seeped down through her collar and sleeves. She stood there stunned, watching the car disappear from sight. Not long after, another car drove in. Secretary Liu hurried over with an umbrella to shield her. She lifted her head and looked around. With lips pressed tight, she strode toward the roadside. Warm air from the heater blew in her face inside the car. The chill slowly left her body, but her rain-soaked clothes clung to her skin. Wet and sticky, extremely uncomfortable. Secretary Liu took clean clothes from the trunk. Su Wanru didn't even glance at them. Expressionless, she told the driver to go. The whole ride was so quiet only breathing could be heard. Once they entered the city, it gradually became lively. The driver nervously asked, "Where to next?" No one answered for a long time. The car slowed more and more. Cold sweat broke out all over Secretary Liu. Only then did Su Wanru squeeze out the words, "Hotel." The two subordinates felt greatly relieved. They let out a breath. After escorting her to the hotel room door, they quickly slipped away. Only Su Wanru remained in the room. Still in her wet clothes, she leaned against the sofa. She took off her coat and casually threw it on the floor. She raised a hand and pressed her brow, but she couldn't suppress the chaotic thoughts in her mind. Ever since we parted at the restaurant last time, for some unknown reason, nothing she did felt right. From the coffee she drank every day, to the meeting notes handed to her afterward, to business socializing during contract talks, and preparations for the Su family banquet. The people around her changed wave after wave. No matter who came, she felt none of them were as good as me. Besides all the inconveniences in life and work, she often dreamed of me at night. Sometimes, they were reenactments of things that had happened before. Sometimes they were absurd and bizarre adventures. In every dream, I appeared, silently following behind her, still calling her President Su. There were also some dreams she found hard to admit. In those dreams, I didn't call her that. Sometimes I called her by name. Sometimes I called her wife. And in those dreams, we were husband and wife. I would be like an ordinary husband, warming milk for her in the morning, giving her a farewell kiss before leaving. When she was upset, I would prepare many novel little gifts for her. To make her happy, I would also tell her lots of trending news. When she came home at night, I would bring a basin of hot water and massage the feet that had worn heels all day. Every time she woke from those dreams, Su Wanru would lie in bed for a long time, recalling every detail of the dream. Perhaps because she dreamed it so often, whenever she spaced out, she would begin imagining her future married life. And for the most important role, the husband, she would first imagine all kinds of looks and personalities, then start picking and choosing. No matter how the process went, the final image she formed would somehow resemble me. At first, Su Wanru thought it was because I had stayed by her side too long, that my sudden departure had caused withdrawal symptoms. But those symptoms gradually worsened as time passed. Only then did she realize it wasn't that she couldn't forget me, but that she never wanted to forget me at all. Deep in her heart, she had always longed for me to return, longed for me to remain by her side, longed for me to become her husband, rather than exist in this world. As Xia Xiao's husband, although she understood her own feelings, she still had no solution. Because I had truly married Xia Xiao, not her. Many times, on impulse, she went near the Xia residence to find me. Either she couldn't see me, or Xia Xiao was always by my side. She waited a long time, but never found a chance to meet me alone. Until she heard the housekeeper casually mention that in a few days it would be my mother's death anniversary. Her heart immediately stirred. The day before the anniversary, Su Wanru boarded a plane and landed in Yinchuan ahead of time. Before coming, she had learned that Xia Xiao was busy these days with a project in Chujiang. She judged Xia Xiao wouldn't be able to get away, so she arrived at the cemetery first. But plans never beat fate. Xia Xiao still came. In her anger, she offended me once again, and lost this chance to talk to me properly. Lost in chaotic thoughts, before she knew it, Su Wanru fell asleep. When she woke again, it felt like fire was burning through her body. Her throat was dry, itchy, and painful. She had no strength at all. Her head felt wrapped in a mass of paste. Dizzy and muddled, half-conscious, she fumbled for her phone and called Secretary Liu, telling him to come immediately. She endured 10 minutes with her burning body, but finally couldn't hold on. She fainted. Secretary Liu rushed over. When he discovered she had a high fever, he was scared out of his wits. He quickly contacted the front desk and had her sent to the hospital. After 6 hours on for fluids, Secretary Liu never left her side. He didn't even dare blink while staying beside her. Around midnight, Su Wanru woke up. She asked for water. He quickly picked up a cup to get some. As he passed through the corridor, he heard a very familiar voice. He instinctively turned his head and immediately saw me. I was also standing by a bedside, holding a thermometer in my hand. And lying in that hospital bed was none other than Xia Xiao. Thinking of the purpose of his boss's trip, Secretary Liu's eyes darted around, and he hurriedly finished filling the cup, then quietly ran back to the ward. After Su Wanru finished drinking, Secretary Liu took back the cup and told her about it. The moment she heard my name, Su Wanru instantly looked much more alert. She sat upright and tried to pull out the needle in her hand. Secretary Liu hurriedly stopped her, then called a nurse to bring over an IV stand. Although her fever had gone down, Su Wanru still had little strength left. She could only support herself against the wall and slowly walk out. Through a window, she saw me bending down to feed Xia Xiao medicine so intimately. A wave of bitterness rose in her heart. Secretary Liu, who was good at reading the room, sensed trouble and quickly found an excuse to leave. After a burst of footsteps, the corridor became quiet, and the sounds from the ward could be heard clearly. After returning from the cemetery, we had originally planned to go straight back to Jingbai, but as soon as we arrived at the airport, Xia Xiao started coughing. Worried about her health, I brought her directly to the hospital. After a round of examinations, it was indeed a cold from exposure. Fortunately, there was no fever. The doctor prescribed some medicine and also brought over a thermometer, telling me to check her temperature every few hours. I didn't rest either. I stayed by her side, watching the time. If I didn't rest, Xia Xiao refused to rest either, holding my hand and talking nonstop. Her chatter was mixed with coughing. Let's go back tomorrow, okay? You promised Haohai you'd accompany me to watch the sunset by the sea. You're sick. What sunset are you talking about? We'll talk after you recover. No. I already made a bet with Zhaoda. Haohai, if you don't go, she won't help me negotiate the Chujiang project. Then our Haohai honeymoon trip has to be postponed too. Then postpone it. I'm not in a hurry, but I am. I don't want to work. I just want to travel happily with my husband Haohai. Perhaps because she was sick, Xia Xiao fussed nonstop like a child. I looked at her helplessly. No matter how I tried to persuade her, I couldn't win, so I had to agree. Fine, get some proper rest. I'll go watch the sunset with you, alright? Don't lie to me. I tucked the blanket around her, my tone full of indulgence. Nonsense. When have I ever lied to you? Last time you promised to go drifting, but you still ran away in the end, watching us bicker so intimately. Su Wanru felt terrible inside. She gripped the fur tube so tightly that the drip stopped flowing. Her blood began to flow backward, yet she seemed unable to feel the pain. Her eyes were fixed stubbornly on the room. On how relaxed and natural I looked. Su Wanru had only seen this version of me in dreams. In reality, whenever I met her, I was like a block of wood. though the way I looked at her was full of affection. The words I spoke sounded like a robot's, cold and rigid. While she was burning with jealousy, a nurse finishing rounds came out. When she saw the blood red for tube, she screamed and ran over in fright. I'll let go, quickly. It's blocked and numb already. The commotion alerted me inside the room. I turned my head at the sound and saw Su Wanru outside the window with a sour expression. Why was she here? A trace of confusion flashed through me, but after one glance, I sat back down. Holding Xia Xiao's hand, I dozed off for a while. After sleeping for over an hour, I woke up yawning, seeing the person on the bed asleep as well. I quickly placed her hand back under the blanket. The cup happened to be empty too. I picked up the kettle to refill it, and when I looked up, I saw Su Wanru. She was still standing by the window. Even her posture hadn't changed. Only her expression looked worse than before. I didn't know what she wanted. I couldn't be bothered with her, so I pushed the door open and headed to the water room. Su Wanru pushed the IV stand behind me, calling my name several times. I pretended not to hear. That blunt disregard instantly ignited the anger in her heart. Unable to hold back, she shouted loudly, "Jiangsheng, stop right there." That shout even woke the nurse on duty at the front desk. I was startled too, not wanting to provoke her and wake the other patients. I finally stopped walking. What is it? My expression was cold now, completely different from the gentle, caring look from an hour ago. It made Su Wanru's already unsettled heart feel even more bitter. She could no longer hold back and directly asked what had been weighing on her heart. Are you and Xia Xiao real or fake? I didn't expect her to ask such a question. I was rather speechless. We've already gotten the marriage certificate. How could it be fake? That single sentence made Su Wanru's heart sink to the bottom. But she was unwilling to accept it and stared at me, not missing even the slightest change in my expression. Do you like her? That question truly struck the center of my heart. I thought for a long time, first slowly nodding, then answering firmly, of course I do. She is my wife. Of course I like her. Su Wanru's face instantly turned deathly pale. Her tone was full of shock. You've only been married for a month. So, what if it's only a month? We're together day and night, sleeping beside each other every day. It's easy for feelings to grow. Su Wanru only felt as if a stone were lodged in her chest, making it hard to breathe. She opened her mouth, but couldn't say a word. Her eyes churned with extreme jealousy and anger. Seeing that she said nothing, I didn't want to waste any more time. I turned around, filled the kettle, and was about to return. Just as the two of us were about to pass each other, Su Wanru grabbed my hand. Her tone was unquestionable. Divorce her. After being stopped by her, I couldn't help but look up and stared at her as if she were insane. Divorce? Impossible. I've already chosen her for this lifetime. Those words were like needles, piercing all of Su Wanru's fantasies from this period. It was the first time she realized that to her, I was truly irreplaceable. Only after losing me completely did she finally wake up, but it was too late. At the thought that I would never return to her side, Su Wanru felt as if the sky were collapsing. She no longer cared about status or pride. Her eyes were full of pleading. Jiangshan, leave her and come back to me, all right? I had never seen Su Wanru like this. Even after Song Jingnian went abroad, when she drank herself senseless every night, that kind of panic, despairing affection had never appeared. But after what happened yesterday, the last bit of respect and fear I had for her also vanished. I used to like her, but I never forgot my own status. I never dared cross the line. I gave so much for her. Even if I couldn't gain love, I at least hoped for some respect in return. Reality, however, slapped me hard in the face. She had never truly regarded me at all. She trampled on my sincerity at will, ordering me around like a servant. If it had only been directed at me, I might still have endured it. After all, the Su family had helped me, but when she caused trouble in front of my mother's grave, she crossed my bottom line. Even if my mother had only been a maid, Su Wanru was still raised by her own hands. Even if there was no affection, basic respect should have existed at the very least. The truth was, she looked down on our whole family from the core of her being, and lacked even the basic morality of respecting the dead. When I left the cemetery, I suddenly felt I had wronged my mother. Before she passed away, She had repeatedly warned me to give up all thoughts of Su Wanru. Not only had I failed, I had even caused her, after being gone so long, to know no peace and be disturbed by Su Wanru. It was also at that moment that I completely cast off the shackles weighing on me for 10 years. I no longer saw Su Wanru as my superior, my boss, some untouchable authority. I now saw her as an ordinary person, a woman with power and status, yet unbearably full of herself. So facing the Su Wanru, I felt no panic at all. I raised my hand and pried open her fingers one by one. My voice utterly calm. What was between us ended long ago. Su Wanru, those words are what you should say to Song Jingnian. Every single word was like a sharp sword, piercing through Su Wanru's chest. She shook her head. The voice squeezed from her throat was hoarse beyond measure. No. The one I like is you. Give me one more chance, okay? Let's get married. I'm willing to marry you. Those were once the words I had dreamed of hearing, but hearing them now, I felt nothing. The scars left on my body and my crushed self-respect did not feel like love to me. I had once seen what she looked like when she loved someone, so I would never again be fooled by such lies. I turned around directly and spoke the final truth in my heart. Then your love is truly disgusting. Watching my resolute departing back, Su Wanru only felt that something was drifting farther and farther away from her, never to return. She desperately wanted to keep it, and chased after me in a daze, but tripped over the metal stand beside her and fell. The sharp needle tore through her fragile skin and came out, spilling blood all over the floor. She didn't notice at all, only hoping I would turn back, but from beginning to end, I gave no reaction at all. Hearing the commotion, the nurse ran over quickly and blocked her view. She lowered her head in despair. She no longer had the strength to get up. Some voices sounded by her ears, but Su Wanru could no longer hear what they were saying. Tears welled up drop by drop, falling to the floor and spreading through the bloodstains. After returning to the ward, I found Xia Xiao already awake, and even trying to get out of bed. Seeing what she was doing, I strode over quickly, set down the kettle and pressed her back onto the bed. Didn't you promise me you'd rest? Why are you up again? Xia Xiao's complexion looked a little better, but her voice was still somewhat hoarse. You were gone for so long, I kind of missed you. I picked up my watch and looked at it. I realized I had been gone for less than 10 minutes. Then I saw the fleeting grievance in her eyes. I couldn't help rubbing my forehead. And you say I lie. I think you're the best liar of all. You didn't miss me. You just wanted to keep an eye on me. Xia Xiao pursed her lips and coughed twice more. She deliberately put on a deeply wronged expression. Wasn't I worried something might happen to you? There was such a big commotion outside. If I didn't go check, wouldn't that mean I failed in my duty as your wife? I knew she was genuinely worried about me. I gently took her hand and told her everything that had just happened. I ran into Su Wanru while getting water. She told me to divorce you. I refused, and she got furious and started yelling. I even called her disgusting just to anger her. When I finished speaking, a faint smile curved on Xia Xiao's pale face. Well said. She really is disgusting. I touched her forehead with the back of my hand. Seeing the smile at the corner of her lips, I couldn't help teasing her. So the rumored gentle as water, mature and composed Miss Xia curses too. Seeing my smug grin, Xia Xiao's heart stirred. She tilted her head and fell into my arms. I'm human too. I have emotions and desires. I can curse people, and I can do bad things too. Bad things? What bad things? I looked utterly confused. Xia Xiao couldn't hold back any longer. She lifted her head slightly and pressed a kiss to my lips. My face instantly turned red. I raised my hand and pinched her waist. You're sick, and you still kiss me. If I catch it, I'm definitely settling the score with you. That dragonfly-like kiss was far from enough. Hearing my half-scolding tone, Xia Xiao grew even bolder. She directly lifted her head and moved even closer. The distance between us narrowed to almost nothing. Her soft voice, together with her burning breath, spread across my ear. If it really infects you, then let's kiss properly. Looking into those gentle eyes so close to mine, my words of refusal reached my lips, yet I still swallowed them back. I turned my head and looked. There was no one outside the ward. I lowered my head. Fine, but you can't say again that I lied. Before I could finish, a pair of soft lips covered mine. All my remaining words were swallowed away. As lips and teeth entwined, an intimate atmosphere filled the room. I wrapped my arms around Xiao Xiao. Like spring water, she melted against my burning chest. Other than the pounding of my heartbeat, I could hear nothing else, see nothing else. The kiss lasted too long. I gradually became short of breath, unable to breathe. My mind went completely blank, and I could barely tell who I was, or where I was anymore. The only thing I was certain of was that I really liked this kiss, and I really liked the person kissing me. After returning to Jingwei, Su Wanru shut herself inside the old house, going nowhere, seeing no one. Every day after waking, she had people bring several cases of alcohol into the room where I had lived, drinking herself senseless. Every time she was halfway through, her stomach would cramp in severe pain. She swallowed medicine with liquor, then continued drinking. After abusing herself like this for half a month, her body could no longer endure it, and she vomited blood. She was sent to the hospital. By the time the Su family rushed over after hearing the news, the doctor handed over the diagnosis report, seeing the words malignant ulcer perforation on it. Father Su's face turned extremely ugly. Mother Su fainted on the spot. But when Su Wanru woke up and learned of her condition, she showed no reaction at all. She lay on the hospital bed with lifeless eyes, her whole face deathly dull, and the treatment process that followed was far from smooth. No matter who came to persuade her, she wouldn't listen. Not only did she refuse to take medicine as instructed, she also secretly ran out of the hospital many times, trying to avoid examinations. Under such circumstances, her illness worsened rapidly. The Su family had only this one daughter, so they anxiously prayed everywhere for help, but it brought no effect at all. Until Mother Su heard Secretary Liu say that Su Wanru's self-destructive behavior might have something to do with me. She rushed to the Xia family overnight, wanting to meet me. But no matter how much she pleaded, Xiao Xiao would not agree. She was furious and cursed loudly outside the door. A reporter photographed it, and it made headlines that night. At the same time, many internal problems of the Su group were exposed. Most of them were about Su Wanru acting on emotion and being unfit for major responsibility. For a time, the Su family's reputation collapsed completely. Everyday reporters camped downstairs at the hospital, trying to dig up news, to preserve what little reputation remained, and to give Su Wanru a better treatment environment. The Su family sent her abroad overnight for treatment, while chaos raged outside. I did not care at all. After returning to Jingbai, there was a small accident with the Chujiang project, so Xiao Xiao still had to go follow up on it. As a result, our honeymoon was postponed again. Taking advantage of this time, I moved into the villa on Xian Mountain and personally oversaw the renovations. By the time Xiao Xiao returned from her business trip, I wanted to give her a surprise. I went straight to the airport and intercepted her. Then we headed directly to our new home. As the sun set, brilliant golden light fell across the garden filled with tulips. The summer evening breeze stirred the curtains, and the wind chimes at the eaves rang softly. Seeing how completely transformed and refreshed the courtyard looked, Xiao's eyes curved like crescents with joy. Her face was full of tenderness. I took her hand and led her inside the villa. The living room and kitchen on the first floor, the bedroom and study on the second floor. I introduced them one by one. Xiao Xiao followed me, listening as I explained the thoughtful details, and slowly becoming familiar with our new home. At last, hand in hand, we reached the rooftop balcony. We watched the rosy clouds across the horizon. I pulled her into my arms. My voice drifted softly in the wind. Do you know? After my mother passed away, home became a distant word. Before I met you, I had already prepared myself to spend my whole life alone. But on the night after our wedding, you fell asleep beside me. We barely knew each other then, yet I slept so peacefully. I found the feeling of home again. Listening to my quiet confession, the smile on Xiao Xiao's lips deepened. Then do you know on which day? I knew you were my destination. I tilted my head to look at her, my eyes full of curiosity. Which day? Xiao Xiao clasped my hand, her fingertip brushing my wedding ring. Her eyes seemed filled with starlight. The moment I heard your voice. The first instant I saw you.